Hey guys, it is Nick here with another Nick's Topics Dragon Ball What If Topic video for today. And today, we are getting into part 16 of What If Hercule Was a Z-Fighter. Now, before we begin, I want to give some closure on the form that I gave Hercule last time whenever Videl was killed by Deborah. I know, it was kind of a rushed decision in the grand scheme of things, more or less a Goku sees Krillin die situation with Hercule. But I wanted to throw Hercule a bone in this story because I feel like Hercule, if he really wanted to, with his knowledge of martial arts and everything, even though he didn't know what ki was, he didn't know the true definitive meaning of martial arts, I just feel like in some way, shape, or form that Hercule could get a new form. And I wanted to put sort of like a Broly / Hulk in Dragon Ball sort of situation into Hercule. So that way, I just wanted to give closure on that for this episode, so it didn't seem like I was just rushing to give him a new form for no reason. So there you guys go for some closure. Anyways, to recap the last episode shortly, King Piccolo and his minions were turned into Majins after Deborah was impaled by Tambourine and through a few mountains and then pummeled to death by Hercule, literally pummeled to death after he killed Videl. And King Piccolo and his men more or less returned into Majins as a last-ditch effort, but still didn't get Majin Buu revived. So the Majin Saga ended before it even happened, so it was pretty much the Babidi Saga. Anyways, afterwards, Shenron would be summoned to revive all the people that were killed by Babidi and his men, including Kibito and Videl. Afterwards, as a thank you from the Supreme Kai, Goku, Videl, Gohan, and Hercule would all be gifted the chance to train with the Z-Sword and unlock their hidden potential. Now, why these four, you may ask? Because Supreme Kai saw a lot of potential in Gohan, and at the time, these four right here are like the only ones he really saw like true potential in. So they would get the Z-Sword training, Goku would stupidly suggest throwing stuff to test it, and the Z-Sword would break, allowing the Elder Kai to be free. And in this case, not just Gohan is going to get the ultimate form here, because these four, they're a team. They've been around since the beginning of the Dragon Ball days, especially Goku and Hercule. So, we are going to get a quadruple Mystic team involving Ultimate Goku, Ultimate Hercule, Ultimate Gohan, and Ultimate Videl. So, they're gonna regularly train on the Kai planet to master their mystic forms before the Beerus Saga. Now, by this point, since Goten was born quite earlier than he was in the original story, around the time before Dr. Gero in 19, he would be a teen around this time, I would have to say, considering Dragon Ball Superheroes logic. So, with that, he'd have much more grasp over the Super Saiyan 2 transformation in his teen body. So, that's a thing. Also, the Trunks of this timeline would be an adult, because, if you guys didn't know, he was born before Frieza attacked the Earth. So, pretty much like what would have been the Namek Saga. So, yeah. He would also have completely mastered over his Super Saiyan 2 by this point in the story. So, figured I'd give you some closure on the two of them at least. Anyways, as I've said, before in some of my past What If Hercule Was a Z-Fighter videos, Goku and Hercule, besides maybe Gohan, are the strongest people in the universe. Like I said, this tag team is very beneficial. Goku and Hercule being around definitely helps a lot more than you might think. Anyways, Hercule also, even though he mainly uses the ultimate power, wants to still get a grasp on his new power that he got whenever he saw Videl die and pummeled Deborah to death. But he wants to try and master it so he doesn't have to, like, get all angry, like, super angry and, like, out of control, like when he first used the form. He wants to use it beneficially if he's going to use it at all. And he calls it Super Hercule, as I've said before. Anyways, we get the time skip between the end, what it would have been the Majin Saga. It's even longer this time because there's no Boo. So we get Lord Beerus and Whis, and Lord Beerus having his dream about the Super Saiyan God. And then going on to the Kai planet instead of King Kai's planet, because in this story, they're all on the Kai planet and not King Kai's planet. So, yeah. There, Beerus meets Goku, Gohan, Videl, and Hercule, along with the Kais, and wants to know about the Super Saiyan God. But, of course, nobody frickin' knows what the crap Beerus is talking about. So, instead, Beerus decides to test everybody's power. Not out of anger, but just as a test before he really finds out the answer to his, like, what he wants to know about the Super Saiyan God. He would first fight Videl, and he is genuinely surprised that a human is this powerful. Now, Videl would be able to at least hold her own for a bit, but against even like 2%, she'd be done for. Hercule would then step up to the plate next. And this time, with him being as strong as Goku, well, kind of as strong as Goku, near as strong, this would make Beerus have to get a lot more serious, possibly even putting up 5 to 7% of his power, I'm going to have to say, if Hercule got Mystic. Even including his Super Hercule form. Almost 10%, I would have to say, maybe. But it would still not be enough. Gohan would then try his luck next, and even though he puts up somewhat of a decent fight for the time, he is still no match for Beerus, and it is made quite clear. But Beerus is quite impressed. From 2 humans and a half Saiyan? This is incredible. He wasn't expecting this at all. Then, Goku steps up to the plate. The actual Saiyan. And Beerus expects a lot more from him than everybody else. They gave him a good show. Especially the humans, who he was expecting nothing of at all. Goku and Beerus begin their fight. And this Ultimate Goku is a lot stronger than the Super Saiyan 3 Goku we were introduced with in Battle of Gods, like before he got God Ki. So, this fight goes a lot differently, with Beerus having to put in a little extra power. And after the fight, which Beerus obviously wins, he still wants to find out about the Super Saiyan God. So, with Goku, Gohan, Hercule, and Videl coming alongside, because they don't want him to do anything bad in case he gets, like, super angry, they all go down to Earth and meet everybody. Beerus wants to test out the other Saiyan's powers. Trunks would be the first one to step up, much to Vegeta's chagrin, and of course Trunks would lose, but Beerus would be impressed with this guy too. He's a hybrid Saiyan, but he's pretty good. And then Goten, another hybrid Saiyan, would fight, and Beerus, even though he sees a lot of Saiyans, he's impressed with their power. But then, Vegeta does go Super Saiyan 2 here. He's mastered Super Saiyan 2. And they do fight, but it's a lot, like, calmer this time because there's no Boo to start up a riot, and Bulma doesn't slap Beerus, so he doesn't slap her, so the fight goes a lot more better. Let's just leave it at that. But Beerus still isn't satisfied, truly, so he still wants to know about the Super Saiyan God. So, because it's Bulma's birthday, they have the Dragon Balls, and they summon Shenron and ask about the Super Saiyan God ritual, where you need 5 Saiyans to put their energies into another. And they have all the correct Saiyans as of to what the original Battle of Gods was, except for a major change. Pan is actually a young kid, because she would probably be born a lot earlier, with Gohan and Videl having a much earlier relationship. I feel that Goku would still get the Super Saiyan God power all in all, but big difference. This is a mystic Super Saiyan God Goku, which is much stronger than the original Super Saiyan God. So this means that Beerus has to put in, originally he put 70% of his power into what he did in the original Battle of Gods and the Dragon Ball Super anime. But here, he would probably almost have to go to 100%, because this is Mystic Super Saiyan God Goku, a much stronger variation of the Super Saiyan God form. This is Goku Super Saiyan God Potential Unleashed. So Beerus is a lot more content and sees Goku for a rival now, instead of like not really seeing him as a rival, more or less like saying he need more training. So the Battle of Gods end. Sorbet and Tagoma entering the Resurrection F arc. They would try to go to get the Dragon Balls for Frieza. Major change, Kami is around, and he would see that Sorbet and Tagoma are trying to use the Dragon Balls, then teleport down to Earth, see what they're up to, figure out they're trying to resurrect Frieza, kill them both right on the spot. Another saga easily ended, and I know there's a lot of those. Forgive me for that. Anyways, Vegeta, of course, would get into the training with everybody else with Beerus, and get Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan Blue. Because I feel like Beerus would accept him either way, because he was still pretty strong as a Super Saiyan too. Goku would get better grasp over Mystic Super Saiyan God. Like I said, a much stronger variation of the original Super Saiyan God form. So he would get control over that, and then go into the ranks of Mystic Super Saiyan Blue. Now, if you think that Gohan as a Mystic Super Saiyan Blue would be strong, Goku, this is a very strong Goku at this point in the story. Even if there was Golden Frieza, he would have died instantly. We had Super Saiyan God Gohan and Super Saiyan Blue Gohan. And as for Hercule and Videl, who are accepted into the training because of how strong they are, and because Hercule's best friends with Goku, can't really take that away, they get a different kind of training. Whis decides to teach these two an art that helped Goku in the Tournament of Power that might be handy in their near future. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for the moment. So, what did you guys think about this part? What do you think is going to happen next? Do you like the idea about Hercule and Videl getting Ultra Instinct? What do you think is going to happen later down the line? And do you think that their training will be more beneficial now that there's no Frieza to have to contend with? I hope you guys have enjoyed the series so far, and I hope you are willing to see more, because the series is actually coming to a close here pretty soon. So, stay tuned for part 17. I will see you guys later.